Well, I'm here today with a guest from Torch Trust for today's breakfast bite. Hello and welcome to Paul.
Hello, Nathan. Good to see you.
Yeah, we have met in person at Torch. Is it Torch HQ?
Yeah, it's a
On
Torch headquarters. Yes, people call it that, but Torch House
yeah,
is,
which
is
is really
where it
cool.
actually is.
It's Torch House on Torch Road, isn't it?
Torch Way.
Torch Way.
Yes, yes. So we're Torch Trust for the Blind on Torch Way in Torch House. Yeah, we couldn't get them to rename Market Harbour to Torch it, but
Ah, that's a disappointment, but never
yeah,
mind. It's very easy to find you, isn't it? Torch House on Torch Way, Torch
yes,
Trust, which is fantastic. You are, if I'm not mistaken, you are the production team leader at Torch
that's
Trust. Do you mind telling
correct.
us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I make everything that we do, really. So we do Bibles, of course. To talk about Bibles first, we do them in large print, we do them in audio, and we do them in Braille. So I'm in charge of getting them all made when they come through. We do a whole host of different Christian literature, from Bible reading notes to books. So we have a free lending library, which is Braille, large print, and audio as well. And yeah, so we probably make in the region. I mean, this month I'm doing a lot more. We have our quarterly magazine going out, so I'll be doing around 1,000 things that will get made. Well, no, sorry, about 2,000 things. I have 1,000 audio that go out. So yeah, and then in the large print and the Braille as well, we have roughly about another 1,000.
Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah, so we make quite a lot.
Excellent. Yeah. And I presume you enjoy that, making all that stuff to help those who are blind or partially sighted to be able to access all this amazing material, including the Bible.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the whole point of doing it. Is we want people with visual impairment, people that are blind, people that are losing their sight, people that have whatever sight problem. Really, we want them to be able to access everything that everybody else can access.
Yeah.
And it gets difficult. So a book that we might see as medium size, kind of thing, maybe 300, 400 pages, will be 3 or 4 volumes in large print, depending on what size they have. We do 4 different sizes in the large print: 17, 20, 25, and 30 point. 30 point, of course, can get quite a lot of volumes, and the Braille as well, 2 or 3 volumes for the majority of books. We have some that go up to 13 volumes.
Wow.
So yeah, when we start talking about the Bible's 43 volumes in Braille, and in 30 points, I think it's 56 or 57 volumes for large print. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of space.
It is, but it's worth it to make sure that
Yes,
everyone can access this because it's good stuff.
it's
Well,
important. Yeah.
yeah, really great to see you again. We saw him obviously met in person at Torch headquarters recently. I think I remember it was cold, so I guess it would have been
Yeah.
possibly sometime last year. But it's good to
Yeah.
see you again. What have you prepared for us for today's breakfast bite then?
So I'm bringing a thought, really, because breakfast bites. I'm thinking of the morning. I used to commute. My commute now is only 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and it's really nice. It's down country lanes, no traffic, so it's lovely. But I used to travel the other side of past Northampton. I live one side of it, and my work was the other side, and it was a nightmare. The roads are atrocious, and the driver's not much better. And I want to share a thought this morning. It's something my daughter flagged up to me, and I'll explain a little bit more about that as we go through. But I've sort of titled this "Pray Before You Shout." I grew up in Birmingham, in Edgbaston, on the edge of the posh bit in Birmingham. I was lovely place to grow up. I mean, it was all the problems with the city and whatever, but I thoroughly enjoyed growing up there, and I learnt to drive there as well. Driving in Birmingham, if you're a country person or whatever, or not used to big cities, can be quite challenging sometimes. It's all a bit fast. People don't like you waiting. If you're polite to somebody, you're polite to everybody because everybody will take advantage of that. And I blame that for my aggressive driving that I have developed over the years. That I'm not patient when I'm driving. I'm getting in every spot that I can find. I'm overtaking when I can overtake. It's very aggressive. It's not great all the time. I'm not patient at all when I'm in my car. I can be listening to worship music and music, singing along to the best worship song ever, and somebody will slow down in front of me, and I change the words to the song. I don't swear or anything like that. I'm never that abusive. I shout things, quite loudly that I'm not appreciating them slowing down. I think they should be going a bit faster, looking for an opportunity to overtake them. My hands get thrown up in the air at a junction when somebody hasn't pulled out as quick as they should, and then I start shout things like, "What are you waiting for? A written invitation?" It's that kind of thing. Maybe a little bit jokey, but I do get quite angry. And once I was with my daughter in the car, and it wasn't that many years ago. My daughter's 19 now. I think she was probably 16, maybe 15 at the time. And I was shouting at somebody who'd slowed down or not pulled out. I'm not sure what it was. And I was, giving it large in that sense, telling them what I thought and all of this. And my daughter just said to me, "Dad, you don't know what that driver's been through today. Maybe something horrible has happened to them." And, it's never nice when your kids are wiser than you. We're supposed to be the ones teaching our children as dads and as parents. But sometimes they are wiser than us, and they're definitely more right sometimes than we are as well. And it was an uncomfortable moment for me because I had to swallow my pride, but I listened to her and I heard what she said and I thought about what she said as well. And I do genuinely now try to think before I shout, and pray before I shout, because I look at the situation sometimes and I can see people slowing down for no real reason. But, I can't see the reason doesn't mean they can't see a reason. I tend to just stop a little bit more and just think about it. And it reminded me of a passage in the Bible from Matthew 15. It's a great passage in the Bible. Jesus is arguing with the Pharisees as he did quite a lot, and they're asking him silly questions, and he's answering them very wisely, and he's telling them what they should be doing and how they're wrong. And he's arguing with them this time about eating things and things that can defile you when you eat them. And basically, his disciples hadn't washed their hands before they ate something. And they're saying, "Now your disciples have defiled themselves." Jesus tells them about, it's not what we put in, it's what comes out that defiles us. And it says this from verse 16 to 20. And I've left in this bit at the start for reasons that you'll see. It starts off in verse 16. "Are you still so dull?" Jesus asked them, talking to his disciples. "Don't you see that whatever enters the mouth goes into the stomach and then out of the body? But the things that come out of a person's mouth come from the heart, and these defile them. For out of the heart come evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false testimony, and slander. These are what defile a person." I left that first bit in that of verse 16. Are you still so dull? I think Jesus got so frustrated sometimes with his disciples, and we can see why. But I also think he gets so frustrated with us as well. And I know this passage of scripture. I've heard it. I've read the Bible. I know what it says. Yet I still will shout at somebody because they've slowed down in the car in front of me. I'll still get riled about it, and I'll say things. Like I said, I don't swear. I'm not shouting, horrible things about the person. I'm just shouting at them. I'm getting cross. But I need to be very careful what comes out of my mouth, because it is that will defile. And it's not what's going in, it's what's coming out. And Jesus has been talking very clearly about what goes in doesn't defile us. It's the words that we say that do. And then his disciples ask him again what it means. And it's at that point Jesus says, "Why are you still so dull?" And when my daughter asked me this question, said this statement to me, it was like, am I still so dull that I don't see this? Am I missing this completely? And it was, it's a real eye opener, I think, for all of us, because we will all get angry. We'll all get frustrated. In the job that I do, I get frustrated sometimes with things that are going on. With some of our wonderful clients, I get frustrated with some of the questions that we get, some of the things that they ask. And I have to be very careful with what I say. Now, when you talk to people at Torch, they'll all tell you I'm not very careful. but I am. I'm a very jokey person, and anybody that knows me knows when I'm joking, knows when I'm not. But I do like a good old shout and a good old argument, but I know that I have to be very careful and not say things at the wrong time. Not say things to the wrong people as well, because our whole life is a witness for God, isn't it? When I'm sitting shouting in my car, if somebody else is looking in, seeing me get angry, they're not going to be looking, go, huh, there's a good Christian man. Oh, he's angry, and it's not something we should be doing. So yes, so now I'm very conscious of what I'm saying, when I'm saying it, how angry I'm getting at the car in front. And I don't know what it is about driving, that driving gets me the angriest. I don't know that I'm the only one, but I might well be. But yeah, driving gets me the angriest, and it is, and it's being very, very conscious of what you're doing and not just letting the emotions take you away and start shouting.
Yeah. Well, that's a great thought for each one of us. I mean, like you say, it's not what goes in, it's not what we hear. I mean, you think that God's going to judge us for. It's not what goes in, it's what we say in response, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. And it's amazing how quickly we will answer somebody back. And when I was younger, as a child, I'd very much jump before I thought, and many times hurt myself. There was a tree at the back of our garden. I'd climb it literally every day if I had the chance. I couldn't get down it, but I could always get up it, and my dad would be out carrying me down the tree because I couldn't get down. But I still did it. It's like, oh.
Yeah. Well, we are slow learners sometimes as humans, and
Yes.
God is incredibly patient with us because
Yes, thank him for his grace, I tell you.
yeah. I mean, if he was as patient with us as we are with others, we'd be in a real mess.
Yes, I definitely would be, especially when I'm driving.
Yeah. Well, each one of us is going to have those sort of those. I suppose we call them pet peeves sometimes, but those things that really will trigger us, and we've got to be very careful, haven't we? Because, like Jesus says, it's what we say in response to those situations that really determines what really defiles us. So, thank you so much, Paul, for this great thought for us. It's a wonderful one to chew over as we go about our day, and maybe stop to think carefully before you speak. God did give us 2 ears and only 1 mouth, after all.
I've heard that many times.
So have I, but it's so true. Thank you so much, Paul. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, absolute pleasure as well. Thank you very much for inviting me.